like to welcome each and every individual to the ARRT, the Atomic Ripple Reaction Tree. We're going to be going through Role 3 today, Drive and Discipline Cubed. It seems like we're going over a lot of information in a very short period of time. The reason it seems that way is, well, because we are. So each of these roles seem to get a little bit harder to go through because we are building on previous ones. But anyways, we'll just dive in. This is where you can go, write it down, put a bookmark, place the icon on the computer so you can go in and see your role. Now, obviously, if you have this role, Role 3, you want to study this one a lot. If you don't have this role, it's still good to go through the role and at least be familiar because obviously you need drive and discipline in whatever you're doing. And so this will help you as you go through. To see all the roles, you go into this URL that's on the screen, and then you click on ARRT Roles, and that will get you to the various roles. And so then you click on Drive and Discipline is what we're going through today, and you'll find something similar to what you see on the screen going on. So that's what you do there. This magical role really benefits everyone. So now that each ARRT member will have their goals, that's Role 1, right? So you got to have goals. Doesn't do any good to drive and discipline if you don't have goals. Otherwise, it's like, shooting at a target when there's no target. Shooting an arrow, just, shooting a gun into the forest. If you have no targets, it doesn't do a lot of good. So Role 1, you want to get that one nailed down. Now, if we don't follow through on the actions we need to do, Role 2, well then drive and discipline. So again, these all build on one another, and you only have to do 3.3% of the work in ARRT, and so that's really cool, but you have to do your 3.3%. People will naturally tend to feel they are busy. So you probably all think, I'm really, really busy. We must break through that type of thinking. To create dimensional jumps, or better yet, quantum leaps, we need to think differently, and we can't allow quote-unquote reasons or just life to get in the way of our success. We have over 10,000. We all have 10,080 minutes in a week. Let's be rough on ourselves so our Role 3 team member doesn't have to be. So I remember it's interesting. Good friend of mine, Dave Libby. Number of years ago, many years ago, when I had 7 of my kids at home, not all out on their own, but at home, we went for, I think it was a 6 o'clock breakfast, and he was late. He was always late. I always knew he was going to be late, so I always brought my journal and a book to read or something, and sure enough, he came 20 minutes late. And, he came up and gave each other a hug, and he looked at me and he says, Mark, you don't give anybody any room, do you? I'm like, what do you mean? I wasn't upset. I knew he was going to be late. I had something to do. It's no big deal. It truly didn't bother. It's like, okay, whatever. And he's like, well, on the way here, I knew I was going to be late, and so I said, I'm going to come up with some type of, I'm going to explain to Mark why I'm late. I'm like, okay. And he said, I had a board meeting last night on a nonprofit. And so it's like, oh, shoot, Mark's on a number of nonprofits. He probably had a board meeting, too. So I can't use that excuse. And then I thought, okay, I've got 5 kids. And I'm like, oh, no, Mark has 7 kids. So I can't use that excuse. And so it's really simple. You never hear a Navy SEAL say, well, nobody's perfect. You never hear an Olympic gold medalist say, well, nobody's perfect. You just don't hear them say it. It's like it doesn't enter into their mindset. And so drive and discipline is so important. And so there's a white paper that you need to go through that will help you in this area a lot. Unbelievable book is Good to Great. Read that many years ago, internalized it. Now it's part of how I think. And so what are some of the key points in it? Well, a good company is one side, and then a great company is based on research that they did. Disciplined people, disciplined thought, discipline in taking action. Now, when we combine that to mindset, and dimensional thinking, are you a disciplined person, disciplined thinker, and disciplined in taking action? Often people will say they think they are. And in their own world, well, they kind of actually are. But in a bigger, like you could think you're a big fish, but you're just in a small pond. When you get in a bigger pond, you realize you're not that big of a fish. And so Discipline Cubed, it comes from the book Good to Great. Now, we're not going to go through it in detail here, but there's the 5 levels leadership. So highly capable individual makes productive contributions through talent, knowledge, skills, good work habits. Level 2 is contributing team member, contributes individual capabilities to the achievement of a group objective and works effectively with others in a group setting. Level 3 is a competent manager, organize people and resources towards the effective and efficient pursuit of predetermined objectives. Effective leader is catalyzes commitment to and vigorous pursuit of a clear and compelling vision, stimulating higher performance standard. In the level 5 executive is build enduring greatness through paradoxical blend of personal humility and professional will. Like, just absorb that. Try to read that. Say that quickly. So this is, one of the things in Good to Great. Another aspect of Good to Great is, the hedgehog principle, economic best, and passion. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'd encourage you to get Good to Great, read it as a group, be a great organization. The biggest enemy to greatness is goodness. The biggest enemy to a great company is a good company. Biggest enemy to a great income is good income. Biggest enemy to a great marriage, good marriage. Biggest enemy to great kids is good kids. So the biggest enemy to greatness is goodness, and we tend to find that we can be a little bit complacent, and nobody will call us, out on this. Of all the books, this is one of the favorite quotes that I've ever read in any book. It's unbelievable. When I look over the Good to Great transformation, the one word that keeps coming to mind is consistency. Another word offered to me by physics professor R.J. Peterson is coherence. What is 1 plus 1, he asked, and then paused for effect. 4. In physics, we have been talking about the idea of coherence, a magnifying effect of one factor upon another. In reading about the flywheel, I couldn't help but think of the principle of coherence. However you phrase it, the basic idea is the same. Each piece of the system reinforces the other parts of the system to form an integrated whole that is much more powerful than the sum of the parts. It is only through consistency over time, through multiple generations, that you get maximum results. So I don't know, I'd post that. This has inspired me over the years. It's like, man, I love this quote. It is only through consistency over time, through multiple generations, that you get maximum results. So when we look at the white paper, Drive and Discipline Cubed, going through that, internalizing that, and then having everyone in our team, a chain is only as strong as our weakest link. And so you can't get stronger and then let your team members be weak. It doesn't do you any good. You've got to have all the chain links, strong, and being able to go through and do that. So we've gone through WIFM. Now, is everyone on your team familiar with the concept of selfless selfishness? If they're not, well, that's not going to help you so good. And then what about consistency and commitment? And so we think we're consistent and committed, and at our dimension level, we are. Often owners of companies will not press employees for fear of loss or whatever. Today's we're going through Drive and Discipline, so we need all 3 of these. This is not like school where you can read one and then just pass the test and then forget 99% of what you learn. We have to go through and we have to internalize every single one of these white papers. Like, it becomes a part of our brain, our synapses, how we're thinking, how we're going through it. Really, really important. Now, if you want your team, if you want to do this all for your team, you can do it. I would recommend, as part of the employment agreement, that you get everybody to where it's EC2. They're part of Engineer Clarity Community. Let EC2 do the heavy lifting. Let's let EC2 develop the people around you in being able to understand, hey, I've got some weaknesses in, WIFM, consistency and commitment, drive and discipline cubed. I'm not as driven. I'm not as disciplined as I should be. In the psychology of people, great course. Encourage you to go through that course. It's where I'm learning tons a lot. It's awakening, ownership, work, and care. And it's self-awareness, awareness of people around us, and then going global and saying, okay, how do I impact, everything and everyone? Again, questions, connect with your mentor or your heart host, or you have the toll-free number. We're going to go into the Q&A now. Hopefully that, again, this went through a lot. Internalize this. Make sure everybody on your team, if you're leading this up, get everybody else. I mean, it's 10 minutes or whatever. Get everybody else to watch this. You can't be babysitting everybody. If your role is this, get them to watch this, go through this. They're being hurt themselves in whatever they're doing if they're not driven and disciplined. Great lesson for everybody. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. God bless. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.